I'd take some time today to talk about some of my favorite boost, overdrive, fuzz, octave fuzz pedals. There's some overlap and there's some questions that people have asked me about what's the difference between a boost and an overdrive, what's the difference between an overdrive and a distortion, what's the difference between a distortion and a fuzz. So my aim here is to clear it up a little bit. Let's first talk about what I got going on here. I'm going to take the capo off. That song you just heard me play was Pusher by Steppenwolf. What am I using today? This is my 52 reissue made in Japan Telecaster. I'm going to go through all the pedals I'm using one by one to talk about all the different sounds. My friend Chris at Dusky Amplification let me borrow his really cool D2O amp. The thing sounds really good and is really fun to play. Okay, so we're going to go from order of increasing gain until things get crazier and crazier. So the first thing you heard me play there, I was actually using Chris's new pedal, the Mandorla, or I think it's Italian, so it's pronounced Mandorla, and it is a boost pedal. Now, boost pedals tend to not add too much grit to your tone. They're one of the earliest circuits that were invented for guitar to kind of change the sound, and his is really cool, and I hope how good it sounds comes through the mic. It's based off of treble booster, which was one of the earliest boost pedals or overdrive pedals that ever was invented. In fact, it wasn't even a pedal. It was a thing you would sit on top of the amp. You can hear it a lot in Black Sabbath. I know Tony Iommi used one a lot. Eric Clapton used one a lot in the early days because they would run these giant amplifiers really loud, these awesome Marshall stacks, and the thing that happens is, you get this awesome distortion, but also you get a lot of bass and a lot of woof. And so a treble booster kind of reshapes it a little bit. So let's play around with his Mandorla. Here is the signal clean. Let me pick a good riff to play. Let's just pick this little riff. By the way, there's a Strymon Flint in the mix giving me a little reverb, and that's a Rode NTR active ribbon mic picking up the sound. This is Sloan Money City Maniacs I'm playing right now in my neck pickup. Let's see what happens if I engage the Mandorla. And it's kind of, the knobs are right up the middle right now, and you can see it's increasing the brightness and kind of shaping it and giving a little more harmonic interest. Let's turn it off. Now what I really like about the way he voiced this pedal is I've been using it all week. He let me play around with it. I just leave it on. And I find that I really like how it just reshapes the sound a little bit and gets rid of some of the woof. Here it is off. Because I'm a big neck pickup guy. I use my bridge pickup sometimes, but I like to stay in that neck if at all possible, because I like that fullness. Yeah, it just kind of makes it a little pointier, but I don't know, adds a little ropiness to it. Now, a smart thing he did also is he was like, well, I didn't want it to be just a treble booster. If you want the bass back in, you can add it back in. Really cool, yeah, to be able to hear all that you want. It almost acts like a really nice compressor also. So that's the first kind of little booster that you could have for your setup would be a treble booster or a clean booster or the Mandorla, a really cool treble booster. Now, To be fair, I would love to try this by winding this amp up, putting on earplugs, and seeing what it does to an amp that's fully grinding. I imagine that it sounds pretty awesome. I haven't gotten a chance to hook up my attenuator and kind of play around with that, but even as just a kind of an always-on pedal, I like it. Here it is off again. Yeah, it kind of is just a more of what you like pedal. And so that's really useful if like you got your setup pretty good and sometimes you just need a little bit of a boost to jump on top for a solo or a lead, but you don't want to turn to crunch. You just want more glass, more harmonic interest. So that is the first thing. Now, if we want to move down the line here, let's compare that to my tube screamer. I have one of the Reissue tube screamers. It's a classic pedal. I love these things. You know, they have a sound. You know, they say, oh, you know, makes your sound go like this. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so here is, let's pick up, oh, okay. Blind Faith had to cry today. There it was clean. Tube screamer. Let's hear it in bridge pickup. That's a classic sound. You know, overdrive pedals came around in the 70s, and they were a way to imitate the sound of an amp that is winding out and going crazy and making all those wonderful harmonic overtones. And so the tube screamer is, you know, one of the earliest circuits, and this is, you know, a reissue of that, and it has, you know, that classic sound. You know, some people complain that overdrive pedals, they tend to make your sound like it was this big and kind of focus it and push it up the middle. And you know what? It's true, they do, but that works. So again, here is that riff again. No overdrive. Overdrive. That is, yeah, it sounds a little thin in my bridge pickup. Let me try it in neck. That's a great song. Great record. Okay, so that's an overdrive, which is imitating an amp that is being awesome. And it has pros and cons. They're limited. They change your sound, but they do the job. And I kind of always keep one around. And let's move on over to the fuzz section of things. And I have 3 fuzzes with me to play around with. We'll go in any old order. Let's use the fuzz face first. Now the fuzz face is, again, old circuit. These came around before overdrives, and they are very woolly and organic and kind of crazy, but you just embrace that. Now all of these fuzzes I set with the fuzz knob right up. Just go ahead and embrace the crazy because, well, watch what happens if you choke it. I'm going to play another Steppenwolf song, I think. That was Don't Step on the Grass, Sam. So this fuzz, I have it set with the fuzz knob right all the way up. I tend to encourage that sort of behavior with fuzzes. Well, if you choke the fuzz out and turn it down, it just kind of, it doesn't know what it is. That's useless. You know, with fuzzes, when you buy one, you just have to embrace the craziness. Now let's compare. You know, if you compare fuzz to overdrive, let's take that same riff. Overdrive. Versus fuzz face. When you put them back to back, you can hear there's a giant difference in the way those circuits behave. Overdrive, again, it's like, oh, it's manageable. You can control it and leave it on. Fuzz, it's kind of like just buckle up when you throw a fuzz on, because it's just going to make your signal crazy, and the best thing to do is just embrace that. Little side tip, if I'm using a fuzz pedal, usually I use these for maybe a solo. I'll also go ahead and throw on some delay. I have an analog delay here, and that will give me the epic eagle soaring into the psychedelic sunset sound. That's one of my tricks of the trade, is like if I need to take a particularly epic solo, boop, boop, fuzz face, analog delay, awesome. Okay, now my fuzz face, it's not stock, but it sounds an awful lot like stock. It's germanium transistors, which are warmer and woollier. You have options. I happen to actually have a fuzz pedal that has silicon transistors, silicon transistors, yes, that is the word I'm looking for. So let's compare those two now. Silicon is going to be spikier and more spitty is the term. I'm going to play a song by Budgie. So here we are in the spikier, spittier silicon transistor. This is, by the way, dear friend Glenn Wylie made this years ago. He has since passed on, so it's a very special pedal to me. It's very strange and kind of crazy sounding, and I always keep it around. And sometimes, if I'm lucky, it picks up Korean radio, so I can use it on a record if I want some really crazy sounds. That was Glenn's Silicon Fuzz. Let's do that same riff with Germanium Fuzz, my fuzz face. I tend to like the germanium more. It's fatter, and that's the main thing. It has more bass frequencies in it, so it kind of doesn't thin out when you kick it on. It like comes through really big and tough. So fuzz, fuzz, overdrive, boost. Next cool one, I also have an Octave Fuzz, which is, you know, it's the next evolution of fuzz. Hendrix used these. Billy Corgan uses them. They are really cool. What it does, it's a fuzz that somehow, I don't understand, through the magic of the circuitry, it generates a note an octave higher. So it's before Digitech had the whammy, you had these. You can't hear it so well on low things, but let's play some stuff up high. You could hear it, especially on those double stop bends. Here, let's do that same lick with analog delay. Yeah, I mean, if fuzz was crazy, it's like Octave Fuzz is the next level beyond, because you get that screeching kind of, and if we were playing through a louder amp, it would start to push it into feedback. So it's like everything gets a little crazier as you move the gain stages up. I think I covered everything. Treble boost slash boost, Dusky's really awesome pedal, the classic tube screamer, the classic fuzz face, the crazy silicon fuzz, the Octave Fuzz, the combination of analog delay. I think that is all the things that I want to show you. Let me play a cool riff to walk us out of this. Ooh, 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 I know. I want to do a Stooges riff. I think I'm gonna use, we got Up the Grind. Cool. Oh, my foot's asleep.